Hi guys, Tracy here with another scrapbooking process video. This time I'm doing a project life process and I'm using the Scraptastic Kit Club, using the This Life Noted kit for the month of June, and I'm going to be covering June 20th to 26th today. So I'm going to start off by trimming up my photos. I print my photos at the screenshots I print at 2 by 3.5 inches, and then all of my square photos are printed at 2 by 2. I streamline the cutting and the sizing of my photos in order to make it a lot easier for me and quicker for printing, but also quicker for me for scrapbooking. I find it really, once you use the same sized photos over and over and over again, you get to know those sizes, and these sizes might not work for you, but I do recommend if you're trying to scrapbook quickly or do project life quickly, I do recommend standardizing your prints so that you're using just a handful of different sizes instead of millions of different sizes. I have scrapbooked using lots of different sizes, like whatever size fits for the card that I'm using, and that's really fun too, but it does take a little bit longer, at least for me. So that's the way that I do it. So I have several photos here that are related to a swatch book that I was making that week. And it did take me a good part of the week to do it because I was interrupted by my paying work, my job. Darn job gets in the way. Anyhow, so it did take me most of the week to get that swatch book done. So I'm just, first I spread all of my photos around the page, and then I go to work with putting cards down for each of the photos. So up in that top corner, there's going to be those two 3x4 cards are going to fit in a 4x6 pocket. So I'm going to put a grid card behind it, and it's going to act as one, even though there are two side-by-side cards there. And so the photo is going to span both of the cards. And so I'm just having a look at the cards that come in the This Life Noted kit. I have the This Life Noted kit and the add-on, so I have a few extra cards here because of that. And what I'm doing as I choose the colors and the patterns for the cards is I'm trying to be mindful of spreading color around the page so that I don't have big clumps of all the same color in one place. And I'm also trying to be mindful. Obviously, I want the card to work with the photo. If there's any kind of theming going on, I want to make it work with what I have. So at this point, I'm thinking about not using the sandwich photo because there are lots of similar sandwich photos, I think, in previous pages. I tend to take a lot of pictures of sandwiches because Scott makes really yummy, delicious paninis, and so I'm always taking pictures of them. I'm pretty sure I've documented it somewhere before, so I'm not going to be heartbroken if that one doesn't make it on this page. And that will allow me to have a couple of pockets that are empty, which allows me to consider them filler cards and put quotes or images on them. So this true story card, I just layered one of those partial labels underneath. Those partial labels are brilliant. I mean, we always layer our labels under something anyways, so why have a whole label? It's perfect. So now these two cards are going to go together, even though they're going to be in different pockets. So this is all my swatch book stuff. I've got a picture of two pictures of markers, and then a picture of the swatch book itself open to a gelatos page. And I just love the colors in these photos, and I knew I had a stamp set. I wanted to stamp the word swatch book on that composition. You know, that card over there, it looks like a composition notebook. And so I wanted to write swatch book so that it kind of looks like it is a swatch book with a photo of the swatch book on it. So this is a set of stamps that I got. I think these are from the dollar store from quite a long time ago. I think they're Studio G is the company. Could be wrong on that. Anyhow, they're tiny little rubber stamps on wooden blocks, and I love them. And I used to use them a lot when I made mini albums, and I used them a whole lot in my art journaling. They were at work for a long time, and I recently brought them home. So I am going to use them here to write out the word swatch. And I start in the middle of the word, and I usually, because I'm not good with visual spatial stuff, I usually write out the word on a scratch piece of paper, and then I figure out which letter is in the middle, and I start with that one. And here, these stamps are a little bit off center from where you'd think they would be, so the word book is a little lower than I wanted it to be, but that's okay. It looks very homemade, which is, of course it is, but I like it. So then I'm just going to add a little caption here on the side. I like to use a super fine marker for or pen, I guess, for my captions, and I like them to always go in the same direction. So they always go from the bottom to the top. Now these letters are letters that came in the kit, and I love them. They are letter stickers with swatches of color on them, so they're perfect for a swatch book. They've got like splotches and stuff of watercolor all over them. And now I'm just using my pen to write out, what did I write here? Oh yes, I was going to write out Swatch Book Week. And yeah, that really didn't work very well. My writing was all wonky and crazy sizes, and that's because that line behind it was kind of throwing me off. The fact that that red line where the red and the white meet was really throwing me off. So don't worry, there's always the option of covering up your less than stellar lettering by covering it with some letter stickers. So I just use those October afternoon letter stickers that I think I used them elsewhere on this layout. If not yet, I will use them later to write out the word swatch book. And I like that, with the only exception that it kind of leaves me with some trapped space there between kind of under the letters SWAT. There's quite a bit of trapped space there. So from a design perspective, it's not perfect. I put a little pair of sunglasses on the star. I thought that was pretty cute. And then I just did my journaling over there, and I'm just going to leave that trapped space. It's okay. If it were a scrapbook page, I would probably do something with that. But where it's just project life, I find that, your eye has so much to take in. You're not going to pick out every single detail. So here I am again using my superfine pen to make a caption on this. And I will show all of these cards up close at the very end. So if you want to see what I was writing or any details of what the cards look like and so on, you'll get to see them at the very end. So one of the die cuts that came in the kit was just this square of pattern paper, and I thought it would make a nice photo corner for this Girl Guide pin photo. I found the word obsessed, and I thought that needs to go on Swatch Book Week, because I was pretty obsessed with doing that swatch book for that week. It was kind of all I could think of. Like every moment that I wasn't working on it, I was wishing I was working on it. So obsessed fits perfectly down there where my journaling didn't fill all the space, so I'm going to put it there. Even though I don't love that it covers up some of the swatch book, I still like it there. So here's where I'm going through these embellishments and just trying to figure out which embellishments are relevant for which cards and which embellishments are going to look nice on which cards. These are some cut aparts, and before that I was holding on to some stickers, and here's another set of stickers that came in this kit. And still looking, still thinking, and I decided to cut out some of this yellow honeycomb pattern and use it on the Girl Guide card along with a little sticker. So I'm sticking the sticker to the honeycomb strip of patterned cut apart paper, and then I'm trimming it down so that it can layer over top of the die cut flower that came in the kit. And I think that looks pretty cute. So now I'm going to work on this card. So I'll start by sticking the photo to the photo corner, and then I'll decide where the photo is going to go. I'm going to do my journaling for the title up here. It says Girl Guides silver thank you pin, which is kind of a big deal. So big deal in Girl Guide circles anyways. Then I'm just going to stick the flower in place, and I stuck it so that it hangs off the edge of the page. I can always trim it up later, and I'm cutting some banner fishtails into the pattern paper that I had cut, and I'm just going to stick it on so that it layers right over top of the flower. And then I'm using a little tiny half piece of Stampin' Up! Dimensional adhesive to just make the tails of the banner stick out a little bit off the page. And then I used my tiny attacher to staple those in place, even though they were already glued in place. And while I was at it, I decided to add the Obsessed sticker to it wasn't a sticker, but the die cut piece. And I'm also outlining the sunglasses to emphasize them a little bit more. I thought they were so cute on that star, I had to emphasize them a little bit more. And while I'm at it, I'm just going to just do a messy outline around the photos as well. And then to emphasize it more, I just used a thicker marker to go around it once. And now I'm outlining the flower petals just to make that sticker look a little bit more dimensional and have a little bit more interest. I am outlining all of the little dots in the middle of the flower, even though they will eventually be covered up. And then I'm using a Slick Surface Writer marker. It's my Lumo Color permanent pen, which is by Stettler, and I'm using that to outline the honeycomb paper because it has a bit of a glossy surface to it. So here I am adding my journaling with a fine point Stettler Pitt pen. It's not a Stettler, it's a Faber-Castell Pitt pen. And fine is not the finest. There's actually one called super fine, so most of my journaling is in fine, and then my tiny little captions are in super fine. Most of my outlining is in either fine or medium. And now I'm going to make one of these acrylic pieces point to the pen itself, the pin itself. And I'm using it I wanted to add something green to this because there's lots of blue and yellow, and I just wanted to tie in the green that's in the pattern paper behind. And now I'm underlining my journaling. I find that underlining my journaling, it's not, I go through phases. I used to do it years ago, and then I went through a long phase of not doing it at all. And now I'm back to pretty much always doing it. I find that it just makes my journaling feel more grounded and like it belongs. So here's a picture of the barbecue. I think this might be our first barbecue picture of the year. It wasn't our first barbecue of the year, but I want to put this heart sticker on it and just use my tiny attacher for a little detail. And now I'm putting the stars. It's just a little star die cut piece. Putting those on. And then I'm using my super fine pen to add a very fine caption. And so I'm cutting out one of these cut aparts that says number one dad, because Scott does all the barbecuing. Scott actually does all of the I'm just distracted because I ripped something up. Oh, I remember why. Scott does all of the cooking in our house. So I cut up the one that says, "You're the man," because I thought I'm never going to use that. So I just ripped it up and put it in the garbage. There's no point in holding on to it because I know I never use that phrase ever, ever, ever. So I just threw it away. So now here's a Snapchat that I want to include some Snapchats in my project life because I think it's a reflection of the times, and I like my project life to have current world things that are going on in the world as well as my own life. And so Snapchat is sort of the thing that the young people are into these days anyways. I know I sound like 100 years old when I say that. I'm not. Anyhow, I wanted to include Snapchat, but that's just a horrible picture of me. And it doesn't really, it was just me sitting at Tim Hortons waiting for a friend to arrive, and noticed that the camera was like looking over my shoulder as I Snapchatted with friends. So, it was a very unflattering picture, and it didn't really say much. So I'll put Snapchats in somewhere else in my project life, I'm sure. So now I went to my stash, and at first I pulled out an owl wood veneer, and that didn't really work on the Brownie Girl Guide page that I was using. So I'm sorry, I forgot to zoom out, so you can't really even see what it is that I'm doing here. But I then noticed that there was an owl little button. I think that's from Freckled Fawn, from one of their little Oh Dear Me kits. And so I'll zoom out in a second and you'll be able to see what I was doing. Or at least I'll move some cards into the frame so that you can see. So I pulled out this little clip, which was I bought it from Freckled Fawn. I think it came in an Oh Dear Me kit. And then I pulled out the button, the owl button, to go on this because it's a Girl Guide page, and owls feature prominently in girl guiding because they are part of the story of brownies. And I haven't looked it up yet, but some very kind YouTuber told me that. So thank you. And I have the link, and I'm totally going to look it up as soon as, now that I'm finished with my obsession of the swatch book, I have time for other things. So I will definitely look that up and find out the story of the brownies. So here's a fail. Oh, don't do this, you guys. Don't do it. So I'm using a gel pen, a souffle gel pen, to trace using that stencil. And yeah, the gel pen, of course, is so liquidy. The fluid just slides right under the stencil and makes a big fat mess. So don't do it. Learn from me. I just wiped it up and I left it. I don't really mind. I mean, I'd rather it not be messy, but it's okay that it's messy. You saw me, I just wiped it up with, I think I used a baby wipe or maybe a tissue, and then I just went over it again. Added my journaling, and that's all I'm going to do to this one because I think the card is absolutely adorable just as it is. So I'm not going to do any embellishing on it, but this big love embellishment is going to spread across both cards. And so because these two 3x4 cards are going to fit into a 4x6 pocket, I'm just going to attach them to one another by using this grid card. And then I'll position the big love so that it spreads across the two of them. And then that true story picture of Sophia packing with her friend is there. And now these two cards will also go into a 4x6 pocket, so I'm going to attach them to a grid card as well. And I love that summer card. I absolutely love it. And so I have this screenshot of my itinerary. We booked a trip to Montreal and Toronto for the summer. We booked a trip to see my sister in Toronto, and we're just going to have a quick stop in Montreal. We're taking the train, which is much, much, much more affordable than flying in Canada anyways. Flying is hugely expensive in Canada. And so we're taking the train, and we're really, really excited about it. I think it's going to be much, much better than driving, and much more affordable than flying. So we're super excited to get to see my sister and her two little ones and see her new place. She just moved to Toronto, and we haven't seen her neighborhood or her home or the kids' bedrooms. And so we're really looking forward to that. And plus our kids will get to see Toronto and Niagara Falls and all the things there are to see there. So that's going to be really fun. And so it's like a big deal for us because we haven't traveled in quite some time. We tend to do staycations where we just stay locally at a hotel for a night or two. And so this will be our first big trip in a long time. And so it is a pretty big deal. So I really wanted to not only document the trip, but I also wanted to document the planning of the trip because it's really fun to plan. So I wanted to include the itinerary and also the price, because I thought that's one of the interesting things about Project Life is that you can look back and see, receipts and ticket stubs and stuff and see how the world has changed over time. And so I left the price in there. I don't really care if you guys see you could just look up the price of a train ticket. It's public knowledge. If you were really curious about how much I'm spending on my vacation, it's just a train trip. So anyhow, I just thought I'd leave it there for my documentation purposes. I didn't fill up the space there, so I just added a heart. That's my little technique for filling up journaling space is I'll add some hearts or some X's and O's and stuff like that to fill up that space. And then again, I underlined, which I like to do these days for all of my journaling. And I knew I had some geotag wood veneers, and so I just had to find them. And there's one. But then I also saw these gold ones that were a much better size than that. And they will fill that space. So see, I had another trapped space. I know I had trapped space down at the bottom of this page as well. But here I'm deciding to fill in the trapped space. And I'm using some Tombow... I was using some Tombow aqua glue, which is great for gluing paper to paper, but where this card might be handled a little bit, I'm not sure how long it's going to take me to get this card into the project. It turns out it's not going to take too long, but I don't want to lose any of those geotags, so I'm going to use Tombow Mono Multi just in case, because that's a super, super strong glue. I think another reason I chose the Tombow Mono Multi is because the backside of those chipboard geotags is a little porous, and so I was worried that the aqua glue would just get soaked up into the piece and loose and then not stick. So anyhow, I don't like this quote. I really like the card, but I didn't like that quote from Albert Einstein. It's about learning the rules and then playing better than anyone else. And it has a competitive nature to it that isn't really true to me. And so I'm covering it up with this. This is the beginning of anything you want. And I'm referring to the summer. So, you can make the summer whatever you want it to be. I love this time, early June. It's kind of early to mid-June when school isn't out yet and you have your whole summer vacation. The kids do anyways, have their whole summer vacation ahead of them. And the possibilities are endless. So I'm going to come on and tell you a little bit about each card now and show you them up close and personal. Okay, so here's the first card. It's that planning the summer vacation card. And I just included the itinerary and even the cost of the tickets. It says, after several years of staycations, it felt great to book an out-of-province vacation this year. We will take the train to Toronto to see my sister. We can't wait to see her new neighborhood, the boys' rooms, and how they've settled there. And then a little heart. And I love how the word vacation looks in that font. That's a really fun font that came with this kit. So here's the next 2 pages. It says true story, and then there's a picture of Sophia and her friend packing. These are all the things this is just part of Sophia's humongous wardrobe that she had to bring back with her to Spain. And she didn't fit it all. She had to give a lot of clothes away to friends. And yeah, so anyhow, they were trying to figure out a complicated physics problem of how to get the clothes into the suitcase. And then this is that cool card that I messed up a little bit with the gel pen under the stencil, but you can barely see the smudge marks. And that's the Souffle gel pen, which is a Sakura gel pen, and it kind of has a bit of a raised surface and it stands out really nicely on a colored card. I love the Sakura gel pens. I'm really, really having fun with them since I bought them. It says it's so difficult to think about Sophia leaving. She and I have grown so close and have so much in common. Here's that card where I covered up the Albert Einstein quote, which just didn't kind of ring true for our family or for me. And I love the hope in this and the kind of anticipation that goes with this at early summer. And then I just put an acrylic arrow here that came in the kit. And I love the little circular pattern on that. Then here's that Girl Guides card. This is one of the more embellished cards on this layout. It has lots of layers. It has the flower, the banner, the sticker, the button, and then a little acrylic piece as well as a layer behind the photo. So lots going on this one. It says Scott was nominated and received this pin by the Girl Guide leaders. It's a high honor to receive it. And so, yeah, I think it's probably pretty uncommon for a male to receive it too. Then we have, this is just like a days of the week decorative filler card, just a place for your eye to rest. I like to try to have a filler card or two, like here I've got two, on each page just to give a bit of a resting point because project life can be pretty dense. So, and I just stuck a bow from my stash. And then here's that card about the barbecue. Just says barbecue season is upon us. So these are two, again, fairly simple cards. This one just has a clip on it and then a caption. It says practicing hand lettering for the first time in ages. And that's just a picture from my Instagram. And then this, of course, I stamped out swatch book, and it says, oh, those pretty gelatos. Two pretty simple cards. And then here's that first card that I did, swatch book week, with the star with the sunglasses on. Oh, he's got a little piece of glitter tape on him. And I like how this card came out. Even though it has that little gap there, if it was really bothering me, I could put an arrow or something there, but I'm not. Well, let's see. Let's see how an arrow would look there. An arrow there looks fine. Why don't I do that? There we go. So you can just see the very tippy top of my weirdo writing that I did underneath of that is just sticking out, but I'm just going to ignore it. There's lots of other things to look at on the page that should, especially on this card, but also on the page in general, that should keep you distracted from that if I'm not there pointing it out like I just did. So I'm going to put these cards into my album as well, but first I have to wait for this arrow to dry. Alright, so here's my book, and I have this page right in here. So that's how it looks in the book. There's no page next to it yet, but stay tuned to my channel because that page is done already, and it should be the next video in line after this one. So take care and have a really great scrappy week.